We are now going to start detecting on future quality of life.
This is a part I still find hard to think about, but I know it is so important that the right plans are put in place for David when I won't be around to care for him. Have you thought about this? What would be a good day in your child's life? Where would they live? What would they be doing? Who would be in your child's life? The next question is so important. How much of a fund do you predict that your child will need to have a decent quality of life? Have you been able to save money for your child's future? At first, when Ellen asked me to do this exercise, I didn't think David needed much. But when I began to think about the question more, I realised how important it is for David to be financially secure. I wanted there to be enough money for David so that he will be able to carry on with his lifestyle as it is now and for it only to get better. The other major issue that I wanted to challenge was that David's future carer would not be under any pressure financially. Having been a full-time carer for my mum for over 15 years before David was born, I am deeply aware of the significance of this. I also understand that having enough money in a trust is extremely important to maintain David's independence. David is in the fortunate place in that he has 2 siblings, his brother Sean and his sister Kate. Since an early age, Kate has always said she wanted to care for David. Now I don't know would I like that for Kate or Sean, but in the back of my mind I am wondering, who are they going to marry and how will their life turn out? I want to assure that they, as David's carers, won't be under any financial strain. If any of them take up this role in the future, I would hope that David would have enough money in his trust to maintain his independence. In an ideal world, I would want Kate or Sean to go on holiday with their own family each year and have enough money in David's trust that he could pay for someone to care for him when needed. I hope that there would be enough money in his trust so that David can have his Turkish barber haircuts, be able to continue to watch Sky Sports, keep up with his hobbies, buy his clothes and shoes, and have the money to do the things that are important to him.
Planning ahead is so important, otherwise you rely on the government or the HSE to give your child a decent standard of living. The old way of thinking was sure, they'll be fine and people with disabilities don't need very much, which couldn't be further from the truth. Unfortunately, disinheriting children with additional needs from the will is still common practice. I've had many an argument with solicitors over the years, and as the one thing in my life that gets me so frustrated that a professionally qualified person could have such a total lack of understanding about a person with special needs' true needs are. Over the years, I've also met with numerous families who got bad advice, and it saddens me, and one that haunts me to this day is a meeting I had with a man who was 48 years old and with Down syndrome. I'll refer to him as John, which is obviously not his real name. He hadn't had any real issues until the recession came, and due to the cutback, the residential provider stopped his favourite hobbies, which was art and swimming, and they also introduced the long stay charge. If you're not familiar with the long stay charge, do Google it, but basically it's a deduction residential providers can take on people's disability allowance. What it meant for John was out of his 188 a week he was receiving, they charged him 150, so he was left only with 38 euros each week. He was devastated. He couldn't keep up his hobbies and did not have access to any money or trust fund in order to maintain his quality of life. And what was more upsetting for me was when I found out he went on medication for the first time ever. The frustrating part to all this is that each of his family members inherited money from the will, and he was cut out of the will. If only his parents had different advice and set up a special needs trust and put a few thousand euros into it for him, how life would have turned out so differently.
This is why at Financial Wellbeing we are always advocating for children with additional needs. What we believe should happen is that every parent should be putting a larger proportion of their inheritance to their child with special needs. We are not saying that you love one child more than the other, but the reality is that your other children will hopefully grow up, become independent, and work and earn money. Your child with additional needs may have a limited earning potential. A little word of caution. Your children will never have an issue when they find out their brother or sister with additional needs is getting more money, because they will understand why. The fallout I have seen is more from the sibling spouses and how they react to the knowledge that another family member is getting more money than them. To avoid future family disputes, we recommend to allow your child to fund their future out of their own entitlements.
The domiciliary care loan is paid until your child turns 16, and then you will receive a dispersed loan each week into your bank account until you are 66 years old.
Our question to you is, how much a week of your child's current entitlements can you invest for their future? What we are suggesting is that if you could put away maybe 5, 10 or 15% of your child's entitlements each week, then this is how you could build up a large trust fund without cutting out any of your other children from the will. This is how over 2,000 families all over Ireland are saving for their children's future. And nobody's going to have an issue because it is the child's own money. Now look at your workbook and have a think about it. What is realistic for your family, and how much of your child's entitlement can you put away each week? You can tick the box on your workbook, and your options are from €20 right up to €60 per week. Now this is how you can start to fund your child's trust and create financial security.